The book Queen's Peril introduced two new queens to the Star Wars canon, Queen Sanandrassa and Queen Reillata, both having served just prior to Queen Amidala. However, before that book had released, there was already mention of a king on Naboo by the name of Ars Veruna, who had also served just before Queen Amidala. The book Queen's Peril makes no mention of him at all, so what happened to him? The Monarchs of Naboo can only serve a maximum of 2 terms. That's a total of 4 years, meaning that 1 term is equal to 2 years, and 2 terms is equal to 4 years. Quick maths. Queen Reillata was elected to that position in the year 36 BBY, and served only 1 term. When her first term was up, she willingly stepped down from her role as the queen to pursue other interests. In her place, Queen Sanandrassa was elected in the year 34 BBY, and also only served 1 term. She ran for re-election, but lost to Padme Amidala, who was elected to Queen of Naboo in the year 32 BBY, the year that Phantom Menace takes place. Padme then served as queen for 4 years, having won her re-election after her first term. After her 4 years were up, Reillata returned to the world of politics and became queen once more, serving for another 2 years after Padme. According to several source books, King Ars Veruna had served as monarch just before Padme Amidala, but as we've learned from Queen's Peril, he couldn't have been king so close to Amidala's term as queen. Reillata and Sanandrassa had occupied that time, so Veruna doesn't fit, at least not directly. The theory that I'm going with, at least until something proves otherwise, is that King Ars Veruna was Queen Sanandrassa's husband. King Ars Veruna was said to have been a poor king, specifically being described as corrupt. Meanwhile, Queen Sanandrassa, while not a malicious or poor monarch, was not favored by the Naboo people. Queen Sanandrassa favored isolationist policies, which upset most of the people on Naboo. The book Queen's Peril specifically notes that she had focused on Naboo politics to the extreme point of ignoring the rest of the sector that Naboo was in. Much of the beginning of Queen Amidala's term was spent repairing Naboo's relationships with the neighboring planets. When Captain Quarsh Panaka of the Royal Naboo Security Forces was beginning his preparations for Queen Amidala's election, he noted to himself that Naboo hadn't seen a political scandal in some time. While such a scandal may have happened years and years ago, his concern for such an event taking place makes it seem as if there was actually a scandal that had taken place quite recently. The reason this is important is because, according to some additional source material, King Veruna was assassinated just prior to Padme Amidala's election to queen. If the assassination occurred within the past decade, I imagine that would be enough to warrant Panaka's concerns regarding political scandals. Furthermore, the governor Sio Bibble was elected to the position of governor of Naboo while King Ars Veruna was in office, according to the sourcebook Star Wars Character Encyclopedia. So, to summarize that information, because saying it now I realize it's a bit much, Queen Sanandrassa and King Ars Veruna both served prior to Padme Amidala. Both of these monarchs were largely disliked by the people of Naboo. Governor Sio Bibble became the governor during King Veruna's reign, and King Veruna was assassinated close enough to Padme's election campaign to warrant concern by Captain Panaka regarding another political scandal. Now, to further cement the existence of a king on Naboo during this time period, the book Tarkin, which is solidified in canon, specifically mentions a king on Naboo by Senator Sheev Palpatine. In this book, Tarkin and Palpatine had met on Coruscant around 34 BBY, about the same time as Queen Sanandrassa's term as queen. Tarkin and Palpatine find themselves discussing the fragile state of the galaxy, and they specifically mentioned a king on Naboo and the Trade Federation. Sheev Palpatine says to Tarkin, "Something dangerous is brewing in our little corner of the Outer Rim. Discontent is on the rise, as are criminal enterprises and mercenary groups in the employ of self-serving corporations. In the Seswana sector, several Lomite mining concerns are vying for the attention of the Trade Federation, which is determined to forge a monopoly in the free trade zones. Even on my Naboo, the king finds himself embroiled with the Trade Federation and off-world bankers with regard to our plasma exports." This passage explicitly confirms that there is a king on Naboo during the time of Queen Sanandrassa's reign. The passage in this book takes place in a flashback that is set 20 years before the present storyline, which is set in 14 BBY. Since Queen Sanandrassa was said to have been an isolationist with an extreme focus on Naboo politics, it stands to reason that if King Ars Veruna was indeed her husband, he would be the one focusing on outside factors like the Trade Federation. We also know that Veruna was assassinated, and considering his supposed working relationship with the Federation, at least according to Palpatine, it might be possible that they were the ones who assassinated him. We know that the Trade Federation is very willing to involve themselves in assassination, as we saw in the case of Padme when she became a senator. And we also know that the Federation had been interested in Naboo for quite some time thanks to the Queen's Peril book. Now, finally, my last little bit of theorizing. As far as I know, Naboo doesn't have two monarchs at a time. I don't think that a queen and a king would serve at the same time on Naboo unless they had some sort of relationship. Hence why I think that Veruna and Sanandrassa are husband and wife. Sure, it could be possible that King Ars Veruna presided over a smaller portion of Naboo that broke away from the union of the planet, but I don't think that if that were the case, that he would have a say in the planetary politics as Palpatine claimed. If the Trade Federation were doing business with Naboo, it would be through their primary monarch. So yeah, that's my theory. I think that King Veruna was married to Queen Sanandrassa and helped her in handling non-Naboo politics, while she focused solely on planetary politics. Then, Veruna was assassinated at some point, possibly by the Trade Federation, or because he was a bad and corrupt king. If you have any thoughts about it, let me know in the comments. If you've read or are reading the Queen's trilogy, let me know what you think of it, because I'm really enjoying it. As always though, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.